Welcome, welcome everyone. We have all of the newsy news, and my daughter is not a spy. I'll explain. Uh, my middle daughter probably has to get an MRI on her shoulder, and I had to take my youngest, most feral, to the doctor with her because they look down on leaving your children alone by themselves. Also, I don't trust him alone by himself, but he very loudly and with authority told the physician's assistant that my sister is not old enough to be a spy. And I said, he said MRI, not FBI. And he's like, yeah, that's what I said. I was like, I give up. Someone stick a fork in me. I am done. Good evening, Christine. I hope you had a wonderful day. And thank you, Wolfram, for doing the mod stuff. And Phoenix, welcome this evening. Squid Pro Quo. You know what? If you can even smile at that point, I understand. I don't know that I would be a not happy camper, and my family would be calling for safety, I think. Squid or Zach, 3 days? Yeah, 3 days I would be super mean. Mom of 10, good evening. Squabob, welcome. There you go. Thank you, Squabob. Our first story, I need to watch this, Netflix documentary, I guess, but the true story behind Netflix stalker drama Baby Reindeer and what we know about the real Martha Scott. Baby Reindeer tells the story of being stalked by an older woman and how it affected the life of an aspiring comedian. Actor Richard Gadd plays a fictionalized version of himself named Donnie Dunn in the Netflix show that he wrote. It's adapted from the actor's 2019 Edinburgh Fringe Festival stage show of the same name, and he based Martha Scott on a woman who stalked him for 4.5 years. 4.5 years, dear Lord. Let's see. Gadd hasn't confirmed who his stalker was for legal reasons, so Scott's real identity is not public. The story also sees Donnie, who is bisexual, coming to terms with his sexuality. Okie dokie. Sounds good. In April, he told The Independent he was forced to deal with his issues through his performances. Quote, I couldn't keep my life separate from what I'd been through anymore. It was becoming increasingly hard to play the frivolous funny man when I'd been through these kind of things, so I had no choice really but to conflate the two, he explained, because I don't think I could really survive having repressed it and carrying on doing these one-liners and surface level routines. It was almost a survival choice because I was struggling so much. Well, Melanie Dawson will try to keep you awake. While it would be easy for the dark comedy drama to paint Scott as a villain, Baby Reindeer is sympathetic toward her in a way that examines her actions and how they affect Dunn's life. Ahead of the release of the Netflix series, the actor told The Independent that he was conscious of depicting Scott negatively because he believes she is mentally ill. It would have been wrong to paint her as a monster because she's unwell and the system failed her. But if a male stalker, would they be giving themselves hmm, just seems interesting. Well, dang it. You're like, "Can you just not look like I'm a terrible parent for one day, child? Can you make it?" Yeah, I had to take it down. sometimes all the hairspray you have to use and between the humidity and I don't even know what's going on outside, my hair was just like, "We are done and we are over it." It Gad highlighted how shocked he was that she didn't receive any help from the authorities, which he puts down to cuts in the public service in the UK. Dear Lord. UK, you spend in fact, I think you earmark more than most other countries on your health care. It's maybe it's because it's bloated and ineffective. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm not from the UK, so I will not try to unalive any sacred cows, but, you know. He added, "I didn't feel quite confronted or quite confronted with just how kind of how much lack of resources there seemed to be, how the police have been gutted. Like, why wasn't she being helped in some way? I left with more questions than answers. Here's the true story of baby reindeer and what we know about the real Scott." Gad knew he had an interesting story to tell when Scott was stalking him. Gad's ordeal with his stalker happened over a decade ago. He told The Times in April that, like in the show, the stalking started after he was kind to Scott while working in a pub where his colleagues didn't take it seriously. At first, everyone at the pub thought it was funny that I had an admirer. Let's see. Gad recalls. Then she started to invade my life, following me, turning up at my gigs, waiting outside my house, sending thousands of voicemails and emails. When promoting Baby Reindeer stage show in 2019, Gad told The Independent that over a period of 4.5 years, Scott sent him 41,071 emails, 350 hours of voicemails, 744 tweets, 46 Facebook messages, and 106 pages of letters. That's not including the woolly hat, underwear, sleeping pills, and a stuffed cuddly reindeer toy that she also sent him. Woolly hat, cuddly reindeer toy, acceptable gifts. Underpants, sleeping pills. Those are kinda iffy. Netflix confirmed on X that the emails seen in the show after certain scenes are real messages that Scott sent Gad at the time. Gad told Netflix, Tadum that he knew he had a good story to tell even while being stalked. I would go to sleep at night and these voicemails, her words would bounce around my eyelids. I remember thinking, God, if I was ever to speak about this on stage, I'd fire the words around, put the voicemails in big cacophony and fire it. And that's how the play was born. Oh, yikes. You know, toddlers are just destruction machines. Dang it. At the end of the series, Scott pleads guilty to harassing Dunn and his parents and receives a 9-month prison sentence as well as a 5-year restraining order. It's unclear if this also happened in real life, but Gad told The Times that the situation is over. It's resolved. I had mixed feelings about it. I didn't want to throw someone who is at that level of mentally unwell in prison, he said. I'm way more cautious around people now, and it takes me a long time to trust them, he said. Before I entered situation with such abandon, I got burned. So there you go. Interesting. I do like that we are starting to finally highlight that men can also be victims of crime. I mean, it shouldn't be shocking, but apparently in current year, we are shocked. In mothers who need to go to Snake Island, whatever is easiest. Mom of 3 locked up after falling for fake rent-a-hitman website and wanting Woman living with ex in a 6-foot pole. It's almost like those Rent a Hitman, websites might be, I don't know, fake. Who knew you couldn't get a Groupon with that? An Ovid, Idaho mother of 3 is going away to prison for more than 7 years after admittedly falling for a fake, quote, "rent a hitman" website she contacted nearly a year ago to solicit the unaliving of a woman with her ex-husband in Wyoming. I mean, ma'am, she is living with the woman. Okay, why are you upset? He is your ex-husband. You done took out the trash. Do you want to I mean, you don't even have to regift him at this point. He's done regifted himself. Is it that deep that you want him to stay? And thank you for joining over on Rumble, Squabob. Deanne Parkin, now 31, was sentenced to serve 90 months in prison and 3 years of supervised release last Thursday in Senior U.S. District Judge B. Lynn Windmill Wills. Yeah, that's Mills. Courtroom approximately 5 months after her murder solicitation plea agreement hit the docket. Prosecutors said that the defendant admitted she went to the, quote, "rent a hitman" site in hopes that she could pay someone to unalive a woman she said had an affair with her husband and wrecked her family. Again, the trash done took itself out, ma'am. If he will cheat on you with her, he will cheat on her with someone else. Karma will help. You don't need to hire a hitman. Karma will get to her. Dear Lord. The dumbness of people. Also, do you think maybe perhaps I know this is crazy, but you'd think that hit people wouldn't, I don't know, advertise their illegal trade on on a, you know, for the love of all that is holy. Because hitmen are gonna advertise their trade on hitmenrus.com, for the love of all that is Cheetos. According to the complaint, Parkin in May 2023 told a, quote, "known reliable source of information," end quote, namely the person who runs a mock website for procurement of hitmen, that LA helped ruin our family, broke it up with her drug abuse and wow, she's just calling it alleged substance abuse and lady of the night activities. And she wanted to make LA go away, whether to another continent or make her disappear completely, where no one hears from her again. Okie dokie. Yeah, that's what I often tell people. I'm like, either either another continent or, take away their cell phone. Authorities detailed that the ATF special agent Daniel Bowling began investigating after receiving a tip from a known reliable source about Parkin's, well, her inquiry. After the tipster repeatedly asked Parkin if she was interested and she confirmed that she had sincere interest, Bowling went undercover on May 23rd, 2023, and reached out to the suspect by text and began chatting her up. Parkin identified herself by name and expressed that police could never get wind of the conversation or she'd lose her kids. Well, good thing the police will never know. I can't have this get to the cops or no one. I can't lose my kids, she told law enforcement. Here's your sign. The complaint further detailed that Parkin agreed to a recorded voice conversation over WhatsApp with Bowling. Parkin stated she was willing to do anything regarding her problem, the complaint said, even if that meant LA being unalived or buried in a 6-foot hole. I'm fine with that, she said. By June of last year, Parkin reached out to Special Agent unprovoked and reaffirmed, I'm still interested in services. Oh, you doofus. Ma'am, again, I'm gonna need you to take, like, 2 critical, not that I want you to have succeeded, but again, it's not like there is a because Burglars R Us has a website too. You have got to be kidding me. She told the undercover, investigator it would be fine if the unaliving would look like an accident or self-deletion. Whichever is easiest, she was gonna let dealer's choice just I mean, she had no she's like, "Chicken or beef, I will take either meal." She RSVP'd yes and either. Just save me a piece of cake. Whatever's easiest, or quote, "Whatever's easiest, if you wanna make this look like a deletion, she is a lady of the night too." End quote. Now, this, um this potential victim, I sincerely doubt that she is an actual practicing lady of the night, and I think someone is just peanut butter and bitter, so that could be what's going on. Somehow the case only got worse from Parkin from there. She put up $100 in cash. She's like, "Can I get a sale on this? How about I pay you 350?" She tried to use a diamond ring as part of the payment and even agreed to pay on an installment plan. She was trying to get a hitman on layaway. It'd be for the love of if you're sitting there wondering how someone could ever fall for a website that claims to be in 100% compliance with a non-existent HIPAA, Hitman Informant Information Privacy Protection Act of 1964, you should know that there are numerous other examples of the exact same scenario playing out. In the government's sentencing memo for Parkin, prosecutors noted that she reportedly was diagnosed with depression, anxiety, bipolar, PTSD, dependent personality disorder, adjustment disorder, and that she has also been the victim of DV and SA. Nonetheless, prosecutors emphasized that her crime was, quote, incredibly serious. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Idaho said Perkins' conduct was shocking. While the defendant's scheme to arrange unaliving is shocking, it would not be surprising uh, it should not be surprising that law enforcement, in this case the ATF, was in a position to stop it, U.S. Attorney Josh Hurritt said in a statement. Along with our partners, we will continue to hold violent offenders accountable regardless of the nature of their criminal conduct. Hey, Jude. Good night, nurse. I'm the HIPAA. Hitman Information Privacy Protection Act of 1964. Oh my gosh, someone actually fell for it. I give up. Well, escaped hippo wanders through a suburban neighborhood as one does. I mean, who hasn't seen an escaped hippo just wandering around? Residents in a suburb of Cape Town, Africa had a brush with or South Africa had a brush with the wild when a hippopotamus escaped from a nature reserve and wandered through the streets. Well, I guess in Cape Town, South Africa, I'd be a little bit more like, I'd probably see a hippo. Let's see. Grassy Park residents captured photos and videos when a hippo broke through a fence at Rond Rondeliev Nature Reserve and went wandering through residential streets just after midnight Saturday. Resident Ashraf Schwartz said police pursued the hippo into the yard of his family's home. Now, personally, I'm not getting anywhere near a hippo because those things are incredibly dangerous. Quote, "My 74-year-old mom watched from inside the house, very scared, as the hippo came straight for our door. The police were standing outside the yard," he told the Independent online. "It then turned around and ran up the road before it then broke my wall as it jumped over it. Hippos are dangerous animals and it could have killed someone. The nature reserve will have to put up a stronger fence for our safety." Local officials said that the hippo's escape was apparently spurred by animals fleeing an altercation with a dominant male inside the reserve. The Cape of Good Hope, SPCA Wildlife Department said police and Quemic rangers were able to herd the hippo back into the reserve. There were no injuries reported to humans or hippos. And yes, Lefty has a wonderful channel. He does gaming. And as a person that can't even do Tetris, I am always impressed with anyone that can do gaming. Because seriously, I cannot do Tetris. If you are thinking about changing up your life, don't overlook your hidden innate talents. I was an electrician, but now I am a professional Jeff Bezos lookalike, and my life is lavish too. So I'm just saying, if you happen to look like a bald supervillain, I'm you know what? God is handing you inspiration to make money hand over fist, apparently. He looks like $1 billion. A German electrician went from watts to wealth after quitting his gig and becoming a professional Jeff Bezos lookalike. Now his celebrity his celebrity doppelganger, he lives a lavish lifestyle as an entrepreneur. Interesting. I look like his twin brother. Oh my god, if you both got cats. The buddy comedy of the year. It'd be the new Perfect Strangers, Balky and Cousin Larry. Come on now. I look like wait, there's 2 of them. I look like his twin brother, uh, Kagas Hagdeclaire, 46, told Jam Press of his uncanny resemblance to Amazon founder, who is the world's second richest person at just over a cool $201 billion. I mean, yeah, but you don't have a white cat, and you both also look a little bit like Doctor Evil, so, I mean, hey, if if it got you out of doing electricianing to go pretend businessing, I don't know. With his bald head and casual attire, Haleclaire is such a dead ringer for the Ebazar boss that he claims he's swarmed for selfies by fans who thinks he's the bona fide Bezos. Really, people? Okay. It reportedly takes little effort for Haleclaire to get into character because Jeff Bezos also dresses casually. It doesn't matter whether I'm wearing a suit or wearing jeans and a polo shirt, he said. The only thing I do is shave my head and regularly apply Nivea cream. But I've already been doing this for over 10 years now. The Lehman native spent the first half of his life as an electrician, but decided to quit after growing wary of long days spent wasting away on construction sites. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, do you guys not have facial recognition? He looks younger and not as evil. He looks older, all the evil. I mean, younger, not as evil, older, just needs a white cat to be a villain in a Bond movie. Like his mirror muse, Haliclaire also dreamed of being a successful businessman. The dreamer decided to quit his gig and go into logistics before founding a transport company, CB Transporte, 3 years ago. It was around then that a friend noticed he looked eerily similar to the Amazon magnate. Just I'm not seeing it, you guys. Maybe it's just me. I mean, he does look similar, but not enough that I would pay him to come to my party. I don't know. When I became an entrepreneur, my friends and acquaintances said to me that I looked like a billionaire, Haliclaire recalled. I didn't know what they meant by that until I was shown a picture of Jeff Bezos. Some of my friends joked that he cloned me. Oh, that's the real picture of her. She looks she look is her face odd to you, or is it just me? Haliclaire decided to take advantage of his billionaire looks and signed up with a doppelganger agency. Moonlighting as Bezos part time has allowed the mogul impersonator to land some eye popping opportunities, including various gigs on German television shows and at events. He even did a guest spot on the German Netflix King miniseries King of Stonks. In fact, the social chameleon is so good at his side hustle, he supposedly even tricked Amazon employees into thinking he was the real deal. When I was in Seattle with my friends, we walked through the Amazon campus, recalled Haliclaire. All the Amazon employees came to me, wanted selfies, and thanked me for being proud to work at Amazon. The titan lookalike says he's become so secondhand famous that his partner sometimes gets annoyed when people come to me and want selfie, but don't many don't dare speak to me. The only downside is that no one has flirted with Haliclaire due to his rich boy visage, he joked. The German looks aren't where the similarities end either. I also have a lifestyle almost like him. I often travel on ships and even have a butler and drink a good whiskey like Jeff. Okay, now you are sounding a bit douchey. You are looking a bit better. You know what? That suit is extra douchey, so we're gonna go with, yeah, I'm not a fan of this suit. My wish is to drink whiskey with Jeff Bezos on his yacht. He's as much of a fanatic for or yacht fanatic as I am, because what's the point of looking like a centibillionaire if you can't play the part right? Good evening, Slinky. However, Halle might have a ways to go before living up to his celebrity double. Bezos recently purchased uh, I'm gonna guess not a $90 mansion, but a $90 million mansion on South Florida's Indian Creek Island, his 3rd in the neighborhood. I mean, because 'cause I'm guessing if it was a $90 mansion, we're all getting mansion, and you get a mansion because 100 heirs can afford a $90 mansion. From Law& and Crime, apparently they have now, signed up to work with Whiskey Raiders Bottle Club. So these are 7 of the craziest whiskey-related crimes of all time. Now, I enjoy Law& and Crime, having decided that, you know, we We talk a lot about law, and lawyers need to drink. The 7 wildest whiskey crimes. Let's see. Casey Alexander, a boozy con man. Casey Alexander is a British con artist who defrauded 150 elderly people out of $13 million dollars through a fake wine and whiskey scam. Like a lot of scammers, he preyed on vulnerable population of elderly individuals with promises of wealth and opportunity to enter the glamorous and lucrative Scotch whiskey investment market. Alexander set up 3 fictitious wine and whiskey investment companies, Windsor Joan, Charles Wynne, and Vintage Whiskey Casks, according to Decanter. These companies were described by victims as using aggressive tactics, fake names, and fake British accents when cold calling elderly victims and urging them to empty their pockets. With empty promises of double investments and invitations to high end parties, Alexander's sham companies managed to collect a hefty sum from the duped investors. Alexander was arrested in June 2022 after FBI agents discovered the scam. An 89-year-old Ohio man reported losses of a whopping 300,000 due to Alexander's scheme. An elaborate sting operation involving FBI agents gleaned information from a source within the fake companies. They were able to identify potential victims who sent checks to Alexander and warned them to cancel them before they were cashed, saving them from losses of $466,000. Alexander was sentenced in April 2023 and currently faces 20 years in in jail. He should. Counterfeit Sazerac operation with bottles purchased from Etsy? Perhaps in one of the more intricate counterfeit booze operations involved a liquor distributor named Allocated. The company found itself in the middle of a lawsuit from Sazerac after it sold many gift sets of Weller bourbon. The cute little sets featured adorable baby bottles of the brand's highly coveted Weller bourbon. As a fun as the idea of mini Weller bottles might seem, there was one major issue with that. Sazerac claimed it never made miniature bottles of Weller bourbon. The mini Wellers appeared to be counterfeit, and those little bottles were purchased from Etsy. Although no one went to jail, Sazerac ended up suing Allocated and winning $30,000 in damages. The liquor distributor ended up removing the listing of these counterfeit mini Weller bottles and discarding whatever sets were left in stock. Uh, one re- one mystery remains: what was inside? Well, obviously not booze. You'll be hard pressed to find a more high profile whiskey related crime than Pappygate. In June 2021, Netflix released a docu-series chronicling a moment in 2013 when 18 barrels of bourbon and almost 300 bottles of the highly coveted Pappy Van Winkle bourbon went missing from the storied Buffalo Trace distillery. The man who was prosecuted for the scheme was none other than Gilbert Toby Kurtzinger, otherwise known as the Bourbon King. Because law enforcement thought such an operation was helmed by some sort of organized crime like Kingpin. Kurtzinger was an employee of the distillery who claimed to have been paid $15 to $16 an hour. Though through his work at Buffalo Trace, Kurtzinger had access to rare bourbons like Pappy Van Winkle and George T. Stagg. He developed the reputation of being a bit of a fixer in local Kentucky circles. If you wanted a bottle of rare bourbon, he could figure out a way to get it to you. It turned out that As a bourbon flipper, Kurtzinger could make some serious cash as part of the perks of working in the business. Besides working in the bourbon biz, Kurtzinger was also an avid softball player and would conduct his side hustle on the diamond. Eventually, he was arrested in 2015, and Buffalo Trace claimed losses of 65 cases of Rip Van Winkle and Pappy whiskey due to Kurt Singer's alleged flipping these pricey bottles and making a profit. Pappy's popularity was beginning to gain quite a bit of traction at the time, and those pilfered bottles fetched a pretty penny. Since the release of the docuseries, the mystique of Pappy has only increased. Was sentenced to 15 years in prison, according to the State Journal, and was released after, um, let's see, 30 days due to shock probation since he was a first-time felony offender? I have no idea. I have never heard of shock probation. In November 2017, one of the most elaborate whiskey heists took place in Paris, of all places. Now, we know what you're thinking. Paris is the city where wine is the drink of choice, right? So it would be fair to assume the country is known for elaborate wine heists. While this is true, the French capital is also the home to an interesting whiskey heist. In 2017, thieves broke into the La Maison du Whisky, one of Paris's oldest whiskey shops, and stole 69 bottles of Japanese whiskey worth a whopping total of 673,000 euros and $730,800, according to the Daily Beast. It turns out the thieves took bottles of Kurosawa 1960, a whiskey nicknamed the Squirrel. That is a whiskey that is so rare, it's considered priceless and the oldest Japanese single malt ever bottled. The Daily Beast Tokyo correspondent Jake Aldelson, and welcome Linda Evers, the journalist on whom the show Tokyo Vice is based, reported the distillery closed in November 2011, right before Japanese whiskey blew up. After the theft, the Daily Beast reported that the Parisian luxury whiskey shop shared flyers depicting the missing Kurosawa 1960 bottle as if it were a missing person or a stolen masterpiece. The fact that the thieves were able to break into the shop undisturbed is particularly shocking since the neighborhood it's situated in is quiet and the shop is across the street from the British Embassy. Welcome, Chris Rowland and Cooper Normand. So, you know what? I have no idea. I am not a big whiskey drinker. I would I'm not gonna pay a bajillion dollars because I mean, honestly, y'all, we oh, no, that was not the story I wanted. This is it. Because honestly, y'all, boxed wine and Diet Sprite exists. Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, "I am not the right one." I'm sure he'd be like, "Ooh, that's so expensive," and I'm over here like um, report on some sort of sports ball thing because it's big, huge in sports ball, but I have no idea what I'm talking about. In the 1968, slaying of a milkman who was a World War II veteran has been solved 56 years later. 56 years after a Florida milkman failed to return home after his rounds, his homicide has been solved, closing the oldest cold case in Indian River County Sheriff's Office history. The emergence of two people who say the suspect confessed to them helped investigators determine who killed Hiram Ross Graham, a decorated World War II veteran who was fatally shot while working on April 11th, 1968, according to the sheriff's office. The victim's son, Larry Graham, who was only 16 at the time of his father's death, said the resolution of the case has brought mixed emotions. It devastated my family as a young kid and caused me to actually lead a life of public safety and work as a photojournalist as well, Larry Graham said. Hiram Graham, 47, a married father of three from Verno Beach, who was a recipient of the Purple Heart, was last seen by a witness talking to two males who then got into his truck. Sheriff Eric Flowers said Thursday at a news conference. The witness said Mr. Graham engaged them in conversation and announced that he would be back shortly, Flowers said. The next day, Graham's body and the truck were located in a wooded area that was described in what was described as a quote chilling scene, the sheriff's office said in a statement. Over the subsequent years, 16 separate investigations occurred through 19 through April 1974 in an effort to solve the case, Flowers said. In 2006, the case was reopened at the request of a family member after the victim's family was interviewed by the media. The suspected killer, Thomas J. Williams, wrote a letter to the editor of a local paper saying he had been accused of the killing but denied being involved in it, Flowers said. At that point, he wasn't on anybody's radar, Graham said. At the news conference, he kind of interjected himself into the crime and became a suspect. Williams died in 2016, but two people said prior to his death he confessed to them that he had killed Graham, the sheriff said. The sheriff's office told CNN investigators were tipped off in February 2022 by an inmate in their jail who told them that Williams had confessed to him. The inmate was a member of Williams' family, the sheriff said. After receiving that information, the detectives tracked down the suspect's ex wife, who also said Williams had confessed to her, Flowers said. The sheriff's office noted the two individuals who knew of the confession were independent witnesses who did not know each other and had not come forward earlier out of fear for their safety as Williams had threatened them. The witnesses said the suspect had been arrested and convicted several times on other charges, the sheriff's office added. Thomas Williams, we believe, is our shooter in this case, but we know there's another person out there that knows what happened on that day. We know who he is, and we want someone to come forward from the community to give us more information about that, Flowers said. The sheriff's office said that the developments in the Milkman homicide case stand as beacons of hope for families like the Grahams, ensuring no victim is forgotten and no crime is unpunished. So that's really interesting. Now, if they say they know who the person is that was the other person that was obviously possibly one of the two people that were talking to the milkman, then why are they asking the community instead of going toward that person or to that person's family? I don't get it, but that's just me. Um, in things that in my former life as a cake decorator would have never happened, but I can totally see them happening with some of my coworkers. Walmart customer shares ridiculous custom cake fail. My mouth dropped. Does this take the cake for dessert fails? A flabbergasted woman shamed Walmart's bakery department online after incorrectly decorating her cake. Sharing images of the sweet snafu online, TikToker Peyton Chimok from Illinois ordered what should have been a simple birthday cake, white frosting with black cursive lettering reading Aries Baby. She even provided a photo of a similar creation for the decorators to follow. Instead, she or encountered a confectionery miscommunication. This is what marriage is like, people. Aries baby, parentheses, small cursive middle of the cake. I don't know why this strikes me as so funny, but this is hilarious. I mean, they did follow your instructions to the letter, ma'am. You can't be mad at them. But honest to God, y'all, this is what marriage is like. You have to be very clear and sometimes not so subtle. Evidently, Walmart's cake decorator misunderstood Chamak's written instructions. She asked for the words Aries baby to be written on the top, continued to describe what she was looking for in those letters, small cursive, middle of the cake. So that's what she got, the words Aries baby, followed by the words small cursive, middle of the cake in parentheses, just as she had scrawled them on the baker's form. Walmart, WTF is this? Chamak wrote on a now viral TikTok video, which amassed over 667,000 views this week. In the caption, she claimed her mouth dropped upon opening the cake box. Ma'am, if all you wanted on there was Aries baby, why didn't you just ask for a plain cake and get yourself one of those little frosting, pens from the bakery section? You could have done that yourself and had no one to blame. And seeing her instructions included as the cake topper, some viewers were irritated on behalf of Chamak, while others saw the humor in the unfortunate situation. I'm just wondering if you went back because, well, it looks like no, it looks like she must have done it herself. I quote, "I need to know what goes through people's heads while they're actively piping on what is clearly a note. Are they really just like, 'Yep, perfect, no concerns whatsoever,'" one person quipped in the comments. "I'd be furious," another wrote. LMFAOOO. Honestly, I love it, someone else laughed. This is better than getting what you originally wanted. You can look back at any time and just laugh, another person continued. Chamak caught the gaffe before leaving Walmart parking lot, returned to the store for a correction. The new version wasn't quite small or in cursive as she had imagined, but the decorator on staff that day did the best she could, according to Chamak. But the debacles such as this are not so uncommon as TikTokers have taken to the app to share some of their unsavory results from grocery store or grocery chain bakeries like Costco. The snafus have spurred on an influx of creators to make cake ordering tutorials to ensure a smooth experience, although they're not always foolproof. I mean, to be honest, that doesn't look like a Walmart cake, but again, you could have just gotten a plain cake and gotten one of those if you really wanted it to be cursive, you could have just gotten yourself a small piping bag, buy black frosting. If you make cookies, cakes, or anything, you will know making your own black frosting is a pain in the ever living royal behind because it always looks gray. Until you use half the daggone bottle of black dye gel, and you're like, "This crap is expensive." Sorry, let me not go on a long tangent of craziness. In our final story of the evening, just for everyone, as we're all trying to be just a little bit healthier, McDonald's has just brought back a fan favorite drink. Now there is good news and bad news about this. The good news is that it is an Oreo frappe. The bad news about this is that no McDonald's ever has their ice cream machine working, so we are all FUBAR, you know? I had never thought of that, but that makes more sense. That is a genius idea. So, yes, they are bringing back the Oreo frappe, but are you still gonna get it if the ice cream machine has never worked in the history of ever at Walmart? Or not Walmart, but McDonald's? Good idea. So there you have it. You're also getting, bagel sandwiches back to take that sting out of paying at least a mortgage payment out in California to get McNuggets. So there you go. If it is, I think leap year day and, like, 2 inches past the total solar eclipse, your ice cream machine might be working at your local McDonald's, and you may be able to get a frappe. Anyhoozle, if you guys didn't know, I did put out a new Delphi video today. I am sending you all over to Shizzy. I will be there in just a couple minutes. I am going to do a quick walk around and make sure that that is not thunder and lightning I'm hearing outside, because we only need 900 more gallons of flood. Oh, and because y'all are my bestest friends, I'm gonna tell you all this. So, because I love you, I am going to be doing the Thursday show for you all, but my HOA is about to get, like, full on, angry town people with Shrek, like, pitchforks, and because I love y'all, I'm going to be staying here and just waiting for my friend to send me, like, pictures because I was like, I would be there with popcorn and, like, my flask with a curly straw, but I love y'all better. So, I'm gonna be here, and honestly, I don't wanna climb the stairs to deal with those people. Oh, goodness. Mm, no. It all boils down to for of all the dumb things that's gonna take my HOA down, we have a north and a south, and usually the north and the south would be able to use each other's pools. Well, as I have always said, n and I am from north, but I don't get it, w we are a whole lot uppity for a town that does not have a Target. If you have been to our Walmart, you have been to the Indiana State Fair, okay? Like, that or Love After Lockup. You have seen both shows, and, but North likes to think of themselves as much too important to deal with South, so we have canceled reciprocity, and, well, I would l look, I don't generally do confrontation. So, I will be happy to get play-by-plays of this, but I would much rather be here doing Newsy News in my own comfy room, far away from my HOA. But if y'all have Nextdoor, I call it old people Facebook. Okay, old people Facebook has been lighting up like there is a Mean Girls sale and the burn book just came out. Like, I have been here for it, and just looking at everything, and I'm like, "Ooh." Everyone's like, "We're gonna be at that meeting." I was like, "Okay, Norma Jean, you go for it." I have way too much fun with this stuff. Anyhoozle, I will see y'all on Shizzy in just a couple minutes. I am going to go make sure that everything is put away and that a load of dishes is done. Thank you guys for keeping me away from my HOA, 'cause for my sanity and their safety. Allegedly, just kidding.